back to another episode of the Four Downs Podcast, the show where we cover 4 trending NFL topics in 20 minutes or less. We're joined by my co-host, Josh, a.k.a. Kablumski. How are you doing today?
Kablumski. What's going on, Big John? How you doing? Thanks for having me on,
You're very welcome. Thanks for being here. This is our last episode before the big Thanksgiving NFL week. This is the week I always consider as like the pre-playoff week. We really start to see the whole league come into picture. Trades are done. We know who the contenders are. We know who the pretenders are. So we're getting into the really exciting stuff. Without further ado, let's talk some football. Our first topic, as always, is Thursday Night Football, where the Browns upset the Pittsburgh Steelers 24-19 behind a Jameis Winston game. Winston,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
quarterback rating of 76, no touchdowns, 1 interception, only rushed for 7 yards, but did have a rushing touchdown. This game, I mean, you look at the box score and you're wondering where all the production came from. Nick Chubb, 20 rushes for 59 yards. Leading receiver, Jerry Jeudy, 6 receptions, 85 yards, no touchdowns. This was just a game where I feel like the Browns capitalized on the opportunities they had, which is something the Steelers did not do. If you look at the Steelers, just box score-wise, they were the much better team. Russell Wilson, 270 yards, 1 touchdown, quarterback rating of 116. Jalen Warren and Najee Harris, 45 and 41 yards respectively. Not efficient on the ground, which is what you expect in a snow game. You expect the team with a better rushing attack to win the game, and neither of these teams really got going on the ground. The big story, George Pickens running his mouth at the end of the game when the Hail Mary attempt got into a little skirmish, and then says at the stand after the game that the Browns are not a good team and that weather played a huge factor. I would say weather probably played in their favor. Wilson didn't seem to be hampered at all by the snow. 21 completions on 28 attempts, 9.6 average for his pass. He got sacked 4 times for 22 yards lost. Myles Garrett completely wrecked the game in the first half. What do you think on that, on the game in general, Josh?
So, just great points all the way around. First of all, I want to give you your flowers. But second, you want to talk about, you mentioned in the intro, it's football, right? This is football weather. This is what football is like. You think about Lambeau Field, snow game, the Ice Bowl. This is football weather. I loved it for a Thursday night game. Honestly, it was it was supposed to be a lopsided game going in, whatever. It had their storylines, but it turned out to be a nice little game. Jameis Winston came out on top. And anytime that he is leading an offense, he is going to give you an interception, right? Like, chalk that up. That's going to happen. But he's also going to give you some crazy amount of way or somehow a way to win the game. I think that we got to talk about Jerry Jeudy stepping up to the plate, becoming, I guess, their lead receiver, essentially, according to the stat line and stuff like that. But he's emerged. Jameis likes him a lot. But this game, like you mentioned as well, it was a running style game. What I was surprised at was Pittsburgh having 2 running backs, and they still couldn't get over that hump. You mentioned 40, 45-ish yards. Respectfully, I kind of counter that. I think that they're better than that. I think they can at least. I know Jalen's coming from a little bit of an injury, but Najee he's the pedigree is there, and he just hasn't been showing it lately. Is it Arthur Smith? I don't know. But anyway, on the flip side of that, Chubb did what he does best. In the snow, you need heavy muscles to get through the snow, plow through that snow, and he just did what he did best. Overall, good game. It just gets me pumped up that football is really like it's on full go now. Like these teams are who they are. There's no switching them up. The dynamic. This is it. So this is where the momentum starts to go into the playoffs. And like you said, it all starts on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I can't wait. And the Browns at 3-8 are kind of out of it, but I see them being a
Right.
team that can shake up the seeding in that division with Pittsburgh and the Ravens fighting for that seeding to win the division. I can see the Browns being a spoiler team, which is exciting because it's Jameis Winston and it's just fucking funny. Everything he does is funny. When he has success, he's funny. When he throws 5 interceptions to 1 touchdown, he's funny. So I'm excited for a little bit of Jameis drama. So with that, let's move into our second topic. Our next topic, as always, is game picks. This week, it's my turn to
Let's
pick.
go.
So, Josh, without further ado, let's read them off.
Alrighty, so this week is fairly interesting because a lot of divisional games. So if you're ready, let's roll. We're gonna go right into it. Cowboys, Commanders. Who you got?
I'm taking the Commanders to keep rolling. Unfortunately, it seems like the Jaden Daniels train has slowed. Right. I'm not hopping off yet, but I am looking to maybe pick up a connecting flight, so to speak, on the Bo Nix Express. I think Bo Nix has taken over as the premier rookie QB. However, I'm still taking the Commanders in this one.
Brian Robinson is going to have a huge day. New England, so. Miami. At Miami. Divisional game.
At Miami. I got the Dolphins in this one. Yeah, I got the Dolphins by 8 in this one. I would actually take them with the spread this week.
All right, another divisional game. We were going Texans and Titans at Houston.
You know, I was high on the Titans this year, maybe just because of my Chiefs bias, wanting L'Jarius Sneed to find some success there. They're ass. So I'm going to be picking against the Titans probably the rest of the season. That is a dumpster fire.
I would like to say, though, Houston finds a spark in this game. I think that they do gain some type of momentum from this game, whether it be. But anyway, Lions at Colts.
Oh, sorry, Alex. This is I've got Lions by 21 in this one on the road. I do not see anybody stopping the Lions. This team is just fucking stacked, both sides of the ball. They had some injury concerns last week. That hasn't hampered them at all down the stretch. They lost Aiden Hutchinson. They kept rolling. And they did add a little at the trade deadline. So I don't think losing anybody outside of maybe Jared Goff at this point is going to slow them down.
Complete team. Vikings in Chicago.
It's a wild one. I'm going Chicago. I just, after about week 5, I have stopped buying into the Vikings. Great defense. They're a good team. But is Sam Darnold the QB that gets them over the hump? I don't think so. I'm taking Bears by 3. Bears win on a field goal.
Nice. At home, too. That's nice. Your boy Bo Nix visiting Max Crosby in Las Vegas. Who you got there?
This is going to be an interesting test for Bo Nix going up against a true game breaker like Max Crosby, a guy that gives Patrick Mahomes headaches every time we see him. How does Bo Nix fare? How does he deal with this pressure of being now the guy that's on the news, the guy that people are talking about as a Rookie of the Year contender? How does he deal with that extra weight on his shoulders going against Max Crosby? I'm going to take the Raiders in an upset. Broncos a 6-point favorite. Broncos a 6-point favorite going into LA or Las Vegas Raiders. I'm taking the Raiders by 4. Weird score. It's gonna be a weird score.
I'll take the spread. Niners at Packers. Good one.
Lambeau. Yeah, Lambeau going into that cold weather. Those San Francisco boys coming in. I'm going to take Green Bay. I'm a non-believer. I'm a 49ers non-believer now. Mark it down officially. All right, let's roll through a few of them real quick. I'm just going to rapid fire. So,
all right, we got Arizona, Seattle.
Seattle's a 1-point favorite. I'm taking the Cardinals in a low-scoring game. Cardinals.
Philly and LA Rams.
Philly against the Rams. I'll take Philly in this one. I'm not out on them yet, even though they've had a lot of shaky wins. I'm going to stick with them as the second best team in the NFC.
All right, and the last three to end it off. We have my Bucks at New York. Excuse me, yeah.
Oh, Tommy DeVito, love the guy, but you're going to get steamrolled this game, pal. Bucks by a lot. Bucks by 10.
Tough one here. Chiefs at Panthers. It's in Carolina.
Now that
big
Chiefs going on the road, that gives me some pause. Right. I would say if it was at home, Chiefs by 80. I'll go Chiefs by 50.
All right, we'll end off here on the Monday night cap. Baltimore at the Chargers. Harbaugh.
I'm gonna take the Chargers. I genuinely think the Chargers are coming into their groove, kind of finding their rhythm here. Herbert looks good. They've got that rushing attack that they stole away from the Ravens. J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards look great. Quentin Johnson making a lot of big plays here. Chargers defense, sneaky top 5 unit.
Yeah.
I got the Chargers 28-24 in this one. A close game. It's the home field advantage that puts them over the top.
And that's it.
All right. So, yeah, that is it.
Yeah.
Let's move on to our next topic. Our third topic today is discussing the NFL tiers. As we said, we're going into the Thanksgiving time. We know who the top teams are. So let's talk about this. I set up a little tier list before we hopped on. Josh, you're just getting a good look at this now. We split this up into Super Bowl favorites, contenders, playoff teams, the wild card group, teams that are likely to miss the playoffs, mediocre at best, number one pick contention, and young but intriguing teams. Just some clarification on the Broncos and the Bears. I think the Broncos are a sneaky wild card contender, but I'm putting them in the young but intriguing tier because I don't think this is actually their year to compete for the playoffs. I think this is just them overperforming. I think next year is when we see them as a true contender in the division. Maybe not with the Chiefs, but they could compete to be the best wild card team next year. So with that, the top group, Super Bowl favorites, the Lions and the Chiefs. Obviously, I think that is everybody's preferred Super Bowl matchup. A lot of people want to see the Chiefs lose, but I think a lot of people want to see the Chiefs lose to the Lions in the Super Bowl. Right below that, I've got the Ravens, the Eagles, and the Bills as Super Bowl contenders. With the Bills beating the Chiefs in the regular season, that just kind of starts a trend of them beating us in the regular season and then us beating them in the playoffs. I don't believe in Lamar Jackson yet as a playoff quarterback. We've seen it a few times where he just kind of falls off the map in the playoffs like he did last year when he had a fairly abysmal passing performance and the team, for some reason, abandoned the run. I guess this is a Harbaugh thing to do. Do you think any of those contenders are true favorites?
Yes, Baltimore. And because of Lamar Jackson. Baltimore. I am a huge Lamar Jackson advocate, and I'll tell you why, real quick, if you don't mind. And it's because if you look at it, yes, abysmal performance last year, passing the ball, whatever. But that's due to the fact that the offensive coordinator play calling, number one. He's still MVP caliber. And anytime he steps on that field, he is 1 to 2, maybe 3 best players on the field at all times. And he's closer to 1 to 2. And this year, it's unfortunate, because he's having a tremendous year, first and foremost. Offensively, they've clicked. They know when they get a good ground game going, they're tough to beat, right? They already displayed that. The problem that they're having is on on the defensive side of the ball, which is hard to say for a Baltimore franchise, right? When you think of Baltimore Ravens, you think about the dominant defensive performances, from the past or whatever it is. They just don't have it this year, and I just feel bad um, that Lamar's having that year, the year that he's having now, plus the backing of his offense, but still missing one piece, and it's such a vital part. And that's my only take on Baltimore there.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. I just don't trust him
Right.
yet. Now, the rest of this, I've got playoff teams as the Steelers, the Texans. I've got Arizona winning that division.
Ooh.
The Falcons, I have them taking it. The Falcons winning their division. I've got Washington as a pretty surefire wild card team at this point. I think the Chargers are a surefire wild card team. And then I've got both the Packers and the Vikings. Potential wild cards is every other team in the NFL West, or the NFC West. San Francisco, LA, Seattle. I've got the Bucks making a wild card push, and then the Bengals still in contention. They're not out of it. I know a lot of people would probably do a little flip here on Arizona and Seattle. I've seen that a lot. And then, yeah, I think Arizona's
I
a
think
better
so.
team. Yeah, missing the playoffs. I've got Indianapolis and Miami both staying in the hunt throughout the rest of the year, but they're missing the playoffs. Do you ever see anything here?
Yeah, if you scroll up just a little bit more, I'm sorry. There's two things that stand out to me. And obviously, a diehard Bucks fan, but I speak realism as far as I'm a realist. My Bucks, I keep it real with. I feel like yes, we're a potential wild card, and that's strictly due. I want to make this very clear. It's strictly due to Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans. When Mike Evans comes back, his leadership, Baker Mayfield's performance and leadership, coupled that with Mike Evans' leadership, is the only way that this team is going to go anywhere. I don't expect, as a fan, I don't expect them to make it to the playoffs, to be honest with you. But I would not be surprised if those two carry this team. Now, the other point I want to make as well, you have Washington and Philly. Obviously, Philly is a Super Bowl contender. I think they're in the right tier. I think that's perfectly fine with them. I will say this, though, to make this kind of interesting. Washington wins this match, or wins this division. Philly gets in as a wild card. But
Okay.
Philly is a Super Bowl contender, though. So you can leave what?
Okay, see, I almost pulled them.
No. Leave them there. They are a Super Bowl contender. I just think that Washington, they win the division. I don't know if they're Super Bowl contenders, but they definitely win the division. That's all I'm trying to say. Just to ruffle some feathers, though. That's all.
It makes sense. All right. You know what? Let's pencil this in as next
Okay.
week we will talk NFL tiers toward the bottom. We're going to talk mediocre at best, number one pick contention, and young but intriguing next week. And we'll talk a little bit about what some of these teams could do with that number one pick.
Ooh.
So with that, let's move on. We are out of time. Let's move on to our last topic. Our last topic is one that is near and dear to my heart. If I could have pyrotechnics, fog machines, confetti, a banner fall from the ceiling.
Right.
The Jets are cooked.
Right.
It's all over. Aaron Rodgers has announced his next team officially, and it is some flag football team in his community, because the Jets' internal reports are that they are not going to have him play out the rest of his contract. He has 1 year left on his contract. It is not guaranteed money. The Jets can cut bait with Aaron Rodgers, which they are now expected to do, as they have all but fallen out of playoff contention, sort of dropped from relevancy. The defense over the past few weeks has taken a major step back. Who would have known that firing Robert Saleh would have resulted in a step back on defense? Their interim head coach, internal reports say players feel like he has been stretched too thin, trying to run the team as the head coach and still trying to handle his role running the defense right now. The Jets are headed into a full rebuild. They are in contention for the number 1 pick. They are going to draft a quarterback, whether it be Shadur Sanders or someone else, depending on where that pick falls. Obviously, guys like Dylan Gabriel are sneaky kind of later first-round picks if they want to go that route. I sort of expect them to trade Davante Adams again this offseason. They've got the young guys. They've got Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson. You could throw a new quarterback into that group, and they'd have a decent sort of offensive core to build on. You bring in a new head coach. I would replace their defensive coordinator with another defensive mind. Maybe bring in a guy like Mike Vrabel. What would be the perfect name for that group? A guy that can just put together a good running scheme, a guy that is great at putting together a defense. They have all the pieces there. I see this being a very short rebuild, and part number 1 of the rebuild is get rid of Aaron Rodgers and all his boys. Get the whole fraternity of Aaron Rodgers out of town and go back to what you were doing before this lunacy sort of took over. I think the Jets were building in the right direction before they brought in Aaron Rodgers. And this could be just my blatant, open Aaron Rodgers bias sort of sneaking its way in. But am I wrong, Josh?
I want to say that you are wrong just to keep things spicy, but you're absolutely right, unfortunately. Hey, listen, at the end of the day, you have it in the backfield in Breece Hall. What do we need to do to catapult his progress? Because how he rolls is how the offense is going to roll, right? I don't care who's our quarterback. So the reason why they are not is rolling, yes, is due in part to Aaron Rodgers, but we got to figure out how to fix that running game first and foremost. Is it up front, up up there? It's offensive line. Something has to happen, right? I do agree with you when you say Davante Adams leaving, but I would say this: I would not be surprised if they keep him on like a short-term deal and just kind of mentor what they got coming in. I do think, however, the organization is going to double down, and I say that by saying that they're going to make some big moves. They're not leaving this window. Another thing that you were saying is bringing a coach in, real quick, if I may. In the baseball world, just real quick, some of the better coaches are catchers. Like they're the catcher position. They have that mind to coach the gritty stuff like that. If you look nowadays, the coaches, they're like the linebackers or the tight ends of the world. It's like they're like the gritty type of people. I am 100% agreement with you saying Vrabel going over there. He's somebody that can really get into. You talk about offensive line, get in their minds, get in their. Unlocks a mentality that only like certain people know how to do. Oh, sorry. And I feel like he is one that can unlock that. So I'm with you on that. I'm not down on the Jets. I still feel like they have the pieces. They just need to find a person to put them in the right spots. If that makes sense.
Yeah. You know who knows how to put together a heck of a running game? Mike Vrabel. Derrick Henry.
He may know a thing or two. Seriously.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Defensive side of the ball was their bread and butter. You mentioned it. They digressed, and they digressed in a way that they shouldn't have against poor teams too. So they need a spark, and a coach like that's taking kneecaps on the way coming up is what they need.
Yeah. And with that, we wrap up our episode. Folks, enjoy your Thanksgiving. Check us out on TikTok. I'm now on Blue Sky as my primary social media app, trying to build up a little bit of the sports card and sports talk hobby on there, get in on the ground level of a new app. Obviously, Instagram, Kaboomski. Check out Chaotically Intolerant. we are under their umbrella. Check them out and eat a ton of turkey, stuff your face, watch some football. We'll catch you next time.